Before we start, Badram Karanebihi Shrunyama Devaha Badram Pashyema Akshabihi Ryajatraha Stirai Rangair Tushtuvamsa Stanubihi Vyashema Devahitai Yadayuhu Swastinah Indro Vridrashavaha Swastinah Pusha Vishwavedaha Swastinah Tarksho Arishtanemihi Swastino Bruhaspatir Dadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So, as we make our progress into Mandukya Upanishad of Atharva Veda, we are in a very, very exciting, interesting situation within the Mandukya Upanishad. As you know, over the past 3 months, we have been dissecting every word and the spirit of the Mandukya Upanishad from Varuna's perspective, from Chaturmukha Brahma's perspective, and we have understood that the jivas in samsara go through 3 stages of consciousness: Jagrati sthana, Swapna sthana, and Sushupti sthana. And after it has worked out its situation in samsara, at some point it might reach a stage where it might actually get itself liberated from samsara and go to the state, the trans-empirical world, the non-material trans-empirical world, where it is in the holy communion of the Supreme constantly and always. So we are all hoping that at some point in our careers as souls that we might reach that state. But unfortunately, our situation at this point is that we are not only surrounded by ignorance, but ignorance is all around us. So, in this kind of a situation for us, how do we elevate our consciousness in samsara? How do we elevate our consciousness through devotional service? Devotional service becomes a root, it becomes an essential component, it becomes the most important component for actually elevating our consciousness. So, that is our devotional service here in samsara. And once we reach moksha, as we discussed last week, this is not some static state. This is actually a dynamic situation in the trans-empirical plane where our shastras give us a lot of insight with regards to what happens to the souls in the state of liberation. What is their devotional service in the state of liberation? So those are the two aspects that Varuna has actually led us to, and we need to contemplate and think about that so that we all understand what our ultimate destination is. So in that spirit, I'm really delighted today to welcome His Grace Mohana Dasa Prabhu from Hungary, ISKCON Hungary, to enlighten us about the devotional service. Now, before I get the speaker to come on to the stage, for those of you who are not familiar with Mohana Dasa, I've had a long standing, I've been very fortunate to know Mohana Dasa for quite a few years now. But for those of you who are new to our group and who are not familiar with Mohana Dasa, I just want to give you a background to who the individual is. Yeah. So Mohana Dasa was born in 1984 in Budapest. He always says that he has always been born to an atheist parents. As a spiritual seeker, he got acquainted with nearly all available religions and philosophical trends from his early teens. And he also tried out more or less all paths of practice. And here is an inspiring story for us. At the age of 18, he committed himself to Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And after a few months training, he joined the Budapest ISKCON temple as a brahmachari. He is a dedicated disciple of His Holiness Sivaramaswamy Prabhu, who is a direct disciple of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON,
I'll tell you.
and who gave him the first initiation in 2006 and second initiation in 2009. Mohana Dasa graduated as a Vaishnava theologian at Bhaktivedanta College, the only state accredited Hindu higher educational institution in Europe. Yeah. Now, for 15 years, his main focus has been in as a service to Krishna in Krishna Valley, in just outside 2 hours drive from Budapest. And Krishna Valley is the biggest self-sustaining eco farm in Europe run by Vedic principles. So that is the background to Mohana Dasa Prabhu, who is going to be joining us today to deliver this talk. Now, I've had another small message that Mohanadasa Prabhu has got some computer issues as we speak. So he has asked me to carry on with the discussion before he is able to join us on the platform. I have no problems talking forever, as you know, but I will fill in the gap once Mohanadasa is able to join us by computer. So what I'll do is, whilst we're waiting for Mohana to join us, I just wanted to give you a background as to how the society is at this point of time and how in the current last 12 to 14 months, all our minds have been focused on all the suffering that is out there, which is largely through ignorance that we've gone into this state. Now, Mundaka Upanishad, which as you know is also called Atharvana Upanishad, actually describes this state of ignorance for us very, very vividly and very, very clearly. Yeah, there is a particular mantra in Atharvana Upanishad, and we have maybe dealt with it some 12, 14 months ago. It goes like this: Avidyayam antare vartamanaha swayam dhiraha panditam manyamanaha janganyamanaha pariyanti mudaha ande naiva niyama yata andaha. So that is captured by Mundaka Upanishad. Basically, what it is telling us is, look at the society. So this, just to tell you, Mundaka Upanishad was several thousands of years ago. Yeah, and it captures the nature of the society at that point of time. And it says, this human society is covered by ignorance. It says, avidyayam antare vartamanaha. This whole human society that we are living at this point is covered by ignorance. And in this ignorance, what are we feeling ourselves? We have considered ourselves as Swayam Dhiraha. So, which means that we are all thinking in this world that we are the most knowledgeable and exalted souls, that we know everything. We just assume that in our own narrow spheres of existence, in our own narrow spheres of expertise in certain areas, we just assume that we know everything. Say, for example, some of us may be physicians here. We might assume that we know everything about medicine. Some of us may be in the pharmaceutical industry, and we might assume that we know everything about drug development. But is that the case? No, but still we assume ourselves to be the most knowledgeable. So it says Swayam Dhiraha. And Panditam Manyamanaha. We are all assuming that we are also Panditas, that we are also the most knowledgeable. We are the scholars of our own specialities. So we have assumed we are Panditam Manyamanaha. Janganyamanaha Pariyanti Mudaha. So the whole life is covered by, we have got this fence. We have got this fence of ignorance around us. And we have become so blind in this ignorance that we have got around us, that our situation actually is ande naiva niyama yata andaha. So what we are doing is, each one of us are so blinded by ignorance, but yet we think we are the experts, and we are all following blind folks. Ande naiva niyama yata andaha. Yeah. So that is our sad situation at this point, that we are all following the blind person, and we think these blind people who themselves are ignorant are actually going to take us to the light of knowledge, which unfortunately is not happening, and we are all falling into this deep pit. So the only solution here as to how we are going to be directed towards knowledge is the understanding of the scriptures, and to actually adopt the scriptures, put it into practical perspective. And the practical perspective of gaining knowledge is, as you know, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, when Yajnavalkya says, Atma va are drashtavyaha shrotavyo mantavyo nididhyasitavyaha maitreyi. Similarly, we do studies, we memorize what we study, we ruminate on what we study, we get the firm knowledge as to what we have understood is right. Then we do deep meditation on that, and that deep meditation leads us on to devotional service, and then we follow our path. So on that spirit of devotional service, I think Mohandas Prabhu has joined us now, and I think his IT is working. So Mohandas Prabhu, hope your IT now works fine. So we are looking forward to your talk, and I'm going to just stop my sharing of the slides, and I'll let you come on to the stage. So please welcome Mohandas Prabhu for our expert speaker session for today. Thank you for listening. Mohandas, the stage is yours.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear Madhusudan Prabhu, and Hare Krishna, all the kind guests who joined to this session today. I'm really sorry I had some unknown issues, but somehow I was praying, please, Lord, help me to have the association of these elevated souls. And somehow Lord Krishna hacked the computer and helped me to join in. So yes, I would like to share some thoughts and also share some presentation, or this one presentation called Joy of Devotion. Yes, so do you see the screen now, right? So you see the presentation and you see me as well, which is less important. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me again. I always feel like be a crow in the association of swans. I'm like a crow-like a person only, and His Grace Madhusudan Prabhu always gives me this great honor to invite me amongst these great knowledgeable people. So thank you very much for that. First of all, I also would like to apologize because of my language. I can't speak English, I only can speak Hunglish, which is the mixture of English and Hungarian. I really try my best, and to be honest, I took some English lessons to be able to express a few, how to say, use a few phrases that I would need for this presentation. So I really tried my best to prepare, but still, this is not my mother language, so please forgive me because of that, and be kind to me by tolerating my bad language. And I just would like to offer my prayers and don't waste any more time of yours. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachanam Pangum Langayati Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutare Shrimate Shivarama Swami Namine Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutare Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatire Darine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we have a very elevated topic for today, which is devotional service. I would say that's the most elevated topic that someone can speak about. So just dear Madhusudan Prabhu, one last thing, that we go till 5:15, right?
Yes, absolutely fine. Take your time, Prabhu.
And questions after that, or questions have to be...
So the way we thought we'll do the session is we usually keep the Q&A at the end, but I'm going to encourage the audience to send questions in the chat box. I will collate all the questions and I'll present on their behalf at the end, if that's all right, so that you can have a smooth presentation for the next hour 15, and then we spend the next 15 minutes for Q&A.
Okay. So I can go till 5:15 and after that ask for questions. Okay.
Yeah. That's
Okay,
fine, Prabhu. Yeah, please.
so thank you very much. So the title Joy of Devotion, I think it's obvious, because what can be more joyful than service to the Lord? And the subtitle was given by His Grace Madhusudan Prabhu, Bhakti, here and there. I found it very ingenious, because the topic will be not just devotional service, but devotional service has actually two main kinds. And one is the practicing of the practicing state, practicing level of devotional service, when someone wants to be devotional and be a pure devotee of the Lord. And the other is the perfected state of devotional service. And this here means, of course, devotional service in the material world, in the practicing level. And there means devotional service in the state of perfection and in the eternal home, eternal kingdom of the Supreme. And we will a little bit speak about that there topic as well. So what is there and where is there and what happens there. So this would be the topic for now. And let me begin with a very well-known phrase, very well-known word, this dharma. Of course, in devotional circles, like I speak to very knowledgeable people who have studied the Vedic knowledge. This word dharma is very basic, but of course, as usually in Sanskrit words, we have multiply meanings, and there are multiply use of this word. So now I don't use dharma in a way of religion, but I use the word dharma here as a inseparable nature of something or someone. So dharma is something that is essentially related or connected to an object. For example, I brought three examples, like the dharma of fire is light, it gives light, and it gives heat and burns out something. So heat can't be separated from fire, and also light cannot be separated from fire. So we would say that this is the dharma, the nature of fire, that it gives light and heat. And in the same way, there is water. So the dharma, the inseparable nature of water, is it's fluid, and it makes things wet, and it purifies things, and it also decreases thirst. So these are the dharmic. This is the dharma of water. Water cannot be like that. Of course, water can be freezed, and then it's not fluid again. But the nature of water is like that. So this is the way how we can express dharma, but what dharma is the nature of something. And here is the third example of the lion. So lion's dharma is to hunting, is to killing, is to protecting its children. So this is also inseparable from the nature of the lion. So these are just some examples. The dharma is something that is essentially connected to something. The nature of everything is dharma, and everything in this world, everything in the creation has a dharma, and everything works in the universe according this this divine plan of the Lord. Actually, the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the source of the creation, and he gave the dharma, he gave the nature of everything and everyone. And actually, in animal kingdom and in nature, all living entities are following this dharma given by the Lord. So a lion acts always as a lion, never acts according the deer's dharma. So it's just natural for a lion to be lion-like, and therefore everything works in very nice order in the Supreme Lord's word. But there is one kind of living entity who is able to work against his or her dharma, and that's human. So as human beings, we have the free will that we can live according our dharma, or we can do adharma. A lion never commits any adharma, but a human being is able to do so, and sadly it often happens that someone is going against his or her constitutional position or nature, God-given nature. And so in this world, human beings have different dharmas on the level of the material platform. It means that a man has a dharma, and the lady also has a little bit different dharma. So we all know that there are different roles given by the Lord to the different kind of people. So for example, a dharma of a lady to give birth to the children, and the dharma of the man is to maintain the family and provide necessities to the children. And of course, there is some little bit of flexibility. Sometimes in modern world, ladies go to work and fathers, they stay at home with the children, which sometimes it can be acceptable. But the original plan is that every kind of people have their own dharma. And of course, not just this family and gender stuff, but also there is the different roles in society. As we know very well, in Varnashram, there are the Shudra Dharma and Vaishya Dharma and Kshatriya Dharma and Brahmana Dharma, and there are the ashramas. There is a different dharma for a householder than a sannyasi. And according to Vedic culture, everyone has to know his or her dharma, how to act in different roles of this world, and have to act accordingly. This is the basic of Vedic knowledge. Everyone have to work according dharma. How is it in Mahabharata? That dharma eva hato hanti dharmo rakshati rakshita. If someone protects his or her dharma, then dharma will protect that person. And if someone kills or neglects dharma, then dharma also will destroy that person. So we spoke about dharma in terms of the different roles that someone has in this temporary world. So these are the temporary dharma. But there is the word, as you know very well, sanatana dharma, which means that we are not this temporary body, we are not these temporary roles that we play in this world. We are not, as Lord Chaitanya says, that naham vipro na cha narapatir, naham vaisho na shudro, naham varni na cha grihapatir, no one astoyatirva. So I'm not grihasta, I'm not sannyasi, I'm not man, I'm not woman, I'm not shudra, I'm not a brahmana, but I am aham brahmasmi. I am an eternal part and partial of the Supreme. I am a spirit soul. So then if someone understands that, and we all understand that as followers of the Vedic knowledge, that we are eternal spirit souls, we are eternal living entities, then we also must know that what is the dharma of the soul, what is the inseparable nature of the living entity. That's the great question. And here is an answer. So according to Vaishnav understanding, the constitutional position of a living entity let it be conditioned soul or liberated soul, is the living entity, is a servant, is a das. Dasa, dasa, and dasa. So we are servants. And if we observe our nature and if we look around the world, service is going on. So everyone offers some service to someone, and actually we are all servants. And actually, if we just the science of happiness, we would say, then we see that real happiness comes from service. Just it with the relationship gives. So actually, this relationship is very much based on especially from the side of the mother. So in the middle of the night, could be giving service and like that. But mothers are real servants. So all respects for all mothers, because they are the ideal servants in this material world. It is said that amongst all the love that is seen in this material world, the motherly affection is the supreme. And it's because mothers are offering so selfless service to their children. So it's 24/7 service. But it's not a service that is forced. Some mother is not forced to do service. No one is forcing, but out of love and affection, mother's nature, her dharma, is to serve the baby, and she gets so much pleasure from it. Maybe they don't sleep for many months after giving birth to a child, and they have so many uncomfortable things that they have to do. They are always tired, but they do out of love, so they are happy to do it. And that's the greatest happiness, it is said in the world, to serve the children. And not just this is according to Rasa Tattva, this is the highest and the purest love in the world, the love of the mothers towards their children, but also all the other relationships are basically based on service. So just think about husband and wife, they are serving each other in so many ways. And also, you know, friends, they also help each other, they also serve each other. And even, you know, boss and employee is also, actually the boss is also serving the employee and vice versa. So this service is everywhere. And if someone says, okay, but if someone is so egotistic or self-centered that doesn't want to doesn't want to be involved in any relationship, someone is just an antisocial person, then and wants to stay away all these relationships, but the natural tendency of service is still there. So for example, the most egotistic person eats. He eats every day. Eating means one is serving his or her body. So body is hungry, the stomach is hungry, then I do service of feeding the body. Or someone is completely selfish and has so many materialistic desires, then that person is serving that desire. So I have so many desires and try to fulfill them. It means I am rendering service to my desires, my mind, my senses, my body. So all of these, and someone has anarthas, bad habits. For example, is someone attached to drinking alcohol, it means that he's serving that anartha, serving that attachment to that poisonous thing. So service is always there. And Srila Prabhupada says the founder of founder Acharya of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, Srila Prabhupada, he often gives this example that if someone does not want to serve or worship God, then he or she will serve a dog. And if we look around the world around us, it's so much, so much, how to say, embarrassing that for the modern perspective and modern way of thinking, for in the age of freedom and individuality, someone says, an atheistic person says that I'm free, I don't nail down to any god or any superiors, I'm just my own master. But it many times happens that these masters and these proud people, they nail down in front of a dog. You don't go to the temple, you don't bow down in front of God, so then you will bow down in front of the dog. It's a kind of new habit. I don't know, maybe in your country it goes back to more years, but in Hungary, maybe 5-10 years ago, people started to develop this habit to picking up the dirt of the dogs. So they go walk the dog, and the dog does what it has to do, and then people nail down and picks up that dirt and put it into the bin, which is of course much better and much cultured and nicer way to walk a dog like that, instead of just leaving the dirt there. But still, and it's very, from the perspective of spirituality, I would say it's a very humiliating situation that the apex of creation, a human being, proud of knowledge, proud of civilization, proud of so many things, and too proud to go on kneel down, so go on knees in front of the Supreme Lord, bow down in front of the Supreme Lord, but they kneel down in front of a very low creature like a dog. So I don't want to emphasize it. I'm sure many of you like dogs. I don't have any problems with dogs. And also Gita says that Shuni chaiva svapake cha pandita samadarshinaha, that a wise person sees equally every living entities. But come on, so it's better to worship God than worship the dog. But still, the natural tendency of the living entity is here, that he wants to serve. We are servants. This is our nature, to serve someone. But the best thing is to serve the Supreme Lord. And here, just let me give an example in the Bhagavad Gita for this. I just love this verse so much. Krishna says in the Gita, "Iya tamam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaha mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha." Krishna says that as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respect, O son of Pritha. And the general explanation of this verse is obvious. If someone gives himself or herself to the Supreme Lord, then the Supreme Lord rewards and gives some benefit and reciprocates with that service and love and devotion. But according Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who is a great acharya of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, he lived in the 16th century. He gives a very unique and a very amazing explanation of this marked word bhajami. Because Krishna says here that tam sataiva bhajami aham, bhajami. And here the translation is reward, but according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, this bhajami also means that Krishna says to Arjuna and to all living entities that as all surrender unto me, I bhajami, or I worship them accordingly, which is I think, very astonishing that the Supreme Lord says, Budge, I am worshipping the living entities. And actually, this is what happens if we are honest, that actually the Supreme Lord, he serves all the living entities. He's the ultimate servant of everyone because he offers so much services to us. If you just think about even the greatest atheist, you know, the sun shines on him and, you know, he's fed by the Supreme Lord. The food is given by the Lord. You know, no atheist can create food. Actually, Mother Nature creates it, and Mother Nature is created by the Lord. And oxygen, even intelligence. So they use their intelligence, an atheistic person, to blaspheme the Supreme Lord, but still that intelligence is given by the Supreme Lord. So maybe you are cursing with your thumb, but the person whom you are cursing gave you that thumb. So it's very, I think it's very astonishing how the Supreme Lord says here, Bhajami. So I am worshipping the living entities. And this relationship, this mutual worship can be experienced completely by the purest souls who has unalloyed devotion to the Supreme, that they offer pure devotion to the Lord, and the Lord offers pure reciprocation and complete reciprocation to them. But still, those living entities who Krishna Bahir Mukhakona Bhogyavan Chakare, who are turning away from the Supreme Lord, even those living entities are accepting the worship or the service offered by the Lord. So it's if someone says, yes, I am serving God, it means that in my very tiny, very insignificant way, I try to give something back that was already given by the Lord to me. So actually, if we serve God, it means that we appreciate that he unlimitedly serving us, and we try to just reciprocate with that service, but not we are the servants. Actually, he is the servant. Now we have to try to somehow reciprocate with his service. And here Krishna gives this, he says this word, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartati iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samamvita. It means that I am source of all spiritual and material words, and everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So it means that if someone understands that the Supreme Lord is everything, then that person tries to pay something back to the Lord, give something to the Lord. And that's the supreme knowledge. And Krishna also suggests this in the end of the Gita, Manmana Abhavamad Bhakto Madhyajimam Namaskuru Mami Vaishasi Satyam Te Pratijane Priyosime. He says that, always think of me and become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So this is the approach of the Supreme Lord, that he sees all of us as dearmost friends. And now we have to develop bhakti, devotion, to be able to reciprocate with his love. And Krishna says, be my devotee, bhava mad bhakto. You have to become my devotee. So what does it mean to become a devotee? And here in the Bhagavata Purana, the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the supreme, the ultimate source of knowledge about devotional service, Prahlad Maharaj, who is the representative of pure devotional service, of the pure devotee, says this. Shri Prahlad Uvacha Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmani Vedanam. And this verse lists the 9 main processes of Nava Anga Bhakti, the 9 processes of devotional service, which is hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, which is the deity, refers to deity worship, offering prayers to the Lord, vandanam, becoming his servant, dasyam, considering the Lord one's best friend. He said already, we are his friends, so we have to also consider him as our best friends, sakyam, and atmanivedanam, surrendering everything unto him, body, mind, and soul have to be offered to the Lord. So this is called as Nava Anga Bhakti, and there are different versions of listing the different kinds of devotional services. Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who was the main disciple of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the 15th century, he wrote a wonderful work on devotional service, which is called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And in that book, he lists 64 kinds of bhakti processes. So it's a very, actually these 9 are the basis, and then he goes into the different subcategories in that work, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I warmly suggest that book to you. It's available in English, translated by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, entitled The Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasa Amrita, the nectar of devotion. So I warmly suggest that book to all of you. And also, so there are different lists of the kinds of devotional services, but according the Bhagavata Dharma, according the Bhagavad Dharma, it's the 3 main processes are Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam, these first 3. And amongst all of these different kinds of, according the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, according Lord Chaitanya's teachings, the most important is Kirtanam. Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nama Iva Kevalam. That in this age of Kali, the most important and the most effective way of devotional service is chanting the Lord's holy name. But actually all the other processes are very essential and very, very important. But amongst those, the holy name, the chanting of the holy name is the most important, especially in this age. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita as well, Bhaktyama Bhavijanati, one can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. So according to Krishna's epistemological explanation, the only way to understand the Supreme Lord is bhakti, because this is the nature of the living entity, and this is the sublime method of transcendental practices. And Krishna speaks about that in a very detailed way in the Bhagavad Gita, but I don't have time to go into those other verses. Krishna says, if someone offers pure devotional service to me, then nashayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata, then as the super soul, so Krishna resides in everyone's heart, and he says, I decrease the darkness of my devotee's heart, and jnana deepena, so I lit the light of knowledge in the heart of my devotees. So actually, if the Supreme Lord personally gives knowledge to someone, that's the most perfect way to get knowledge, because he's the source of all knowledge, and if he personally gives that knowledge, then that's perfection. And here in the Bhagavata Purana, there is another verse, Savai Pumsa Parodharmo, Yato Bhakti Radokshache Ahaituki Apratihata Yayatma Suprasidati. So it means that the supreme occupation, Dharma again, for all humanity, is that by which man can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. And I think there are 2 main points in this verse. One is that the paro dharma, that the highest way of dharma is bhakti. And the other thing, that bhakti or paro bhakti have to be ahaituki and apratihata. So ahaituki, apratihata means unmotivated. So there mustn't be any selfish desires, selfish motivations of devotional service. So I don't want anything back for my service. I just want to serve. And the other thing is uninterrupted. It means that it have to be offered always. So it's apratihata, never have to be stopped. It's just an eternal. As Krishna says, Raja Vidya Raja Gukyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyaksha Bhagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartumavayam. But I didn't want to call this verse. Susukha, yeah, the kartum avyayam. So it's also eternally and blissful activity. So it's eternal. Devotional service have to be eternal. And here is a very important verse, which is actually the definition of pure devotional service, unmotivated, pure devotional service. This definition was given by Rupa Goswami Prabhupada again in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and it's quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 19:167. But it's originally from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Somehow I put the quotation from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but don't mind. So the verse goes, Anya bilas ita shunyam, jnana karmadya navritam, anukulyana Krishna anushilanam bhakti ruttama. When first-class devotional service develops, one must be devoid of all material desires, knowledge obtained by monistic philosophy, and fruitive action. The devotee must constantly serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. So this is the definition of pure devotional service. Anya abhilasa iti, it means without any material desires. And this iti, I don't have to go into this explanation deeply, but the thing is that Rupa Goswami gives a little bit of help to the practitioner devotees. He says that Anya abhilasa iti, so it means that you mustn't have any selfish desires, any material desires, but this iti means that it is allowed for a devotee to have desire to his or her own maintenance. So it means that we have desire for maintaining this body, or we have desire to protect ourselves, and this is okay, this is allowed in pure devotional service, but like selfish desires for selfish enjoyment is not fit there. So shunyam, zero. And jnana karma adi, it means that there are three other processes or bona fide processes of spiritual development, which are karma, yoga, and jnana. So this karma adi refers both, all the three. So karma and jnana are mentioned, but karma, this adi is beginning with karma and jnana, so there is also yoga. But sometimes devotees and sometimes acharyas are referring to yoga process as part of karma, because this is also a material, how to say, development, but it's more subtle, so I don't want to go deeply into these processes. But karma means fruitive activities. It means that someone does material development or material activities according to Shastra. So someone works according to Shastra, someone does different Vedic rituals and austerities for some material benefits. So they do material development or material activities. This is the path of karma. And then there is the path of jnana, which means the path of knowledge. that Rupa Goswami or Srila Prabhupada translates here like knowledge obtained by monistic philosophy. So this is like the impersonal kind of jnana, or the speculative process of knowledge. So it's don't misunderstand the jnana as jnana from the shastras, or jnana about bhakti, or jnana about transcendental knowledge, but jnana in a way that speculative knowledge, that someone wants to understand the transcendental and the supreme absolute truth by anumana, by thinking, or by this material kind of thinking and knowledge. And yoga, it means that these subtle, or these kind of siddhis, which are materially elevated, how to say, capabilities that yoga provides to the practitioners. Like you can learn that in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So there are these yogic, mystical processes. So also one have to be free from those desires to be materially, how to say, powerful by these siddhis or capabilities, or yogic powers, yogic siddhis. Like you know all of these, like to be able to fly, and to be able to create something, and to manipulate other people, and to be, anima, logima, to be the smallest and be the greatest, and to have power over this material world. This is kind of yogic siddhis. So the thing is that if someone wants to render pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord, pure bhakti, that one has to be free from all these three tendencies. Karma means fruitive, materialistic activities. Yoga process means mystical activities, and jnana process, material knowledge. One have to be free all of these. And this getting free of these tendencies, of these material efforts, material desires, is a process. So as you see, this symbol shows if someone is completely self-centered. So a materialistic person who is completely absorbed in karma, just fruitive work, I work to enjoy my life, that means completely selfish. And the other positive extreme is pure bhakti, when is someone completely free from all selfish desires, just want to give, just want to do selfless service to the Supreme Lord, and to actually all living entities who are part and parcels of the Supreme Lord. And between the two, there is this Mishra bhakti, which is mixed. So if someone wants to do bhakti, someone wants to do pure devotional service, but still have some karma tendencies, yoga tendencies, and jnana tendencies, it means that someone does materialistic activities but connects that to bhakti, or someone does yoga practices but adds bhakti to it, or someone wants to speculate but also adds devotional service into it, then one gets karma mishra bhakti, yoga mishra bhakti, and jnana mishra bhakti. It means that someone does service to the Lord but still have some selfish desires, have some selfish tendencies. But that's natural. So we just can't jump from here to there immediately. There is a process that have to be followed by that. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives this nice verse, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. It means that bhakti means, the bhakti process is about purifying the dusty mirror of the heart. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So Cheto Darpana means the mirror of the heart, mirror of the consciousness, and Marjana means purifying or cleansing. And here I put this strange picture. It's a famous picture of René Magritte. He was a surrealistic painter. And here you can see a man who is looking into a mirror. This is a mirror. But because this is a surrealistic picture, it means that the man doesn't see his face, but he sees only the backside of his head. So this is the impure state of consciousness. If someone's heart is dirty, someone's heart is covered by these materialistic tendencies, materialistic desires, then he can't see himself and he can't see the Supreme Lord in his or her heart. So he can just see reality from the backside. But if someone goes through the purification process of devotional service of bhakti, then he can go to the state of pure bhakti, which means if someone has a completely pure darpana of the heart, completely pure mirror of the heart, then one can see his or her own soul in his or her own heart, and also can see the Supreme Lord in his or her heart. So there is this beautiful picture when Radha and Krishna are watching themselves in a pure mirror. So in the same way, a pure devotee's heart is like a pure mirror. One can see himself and one can see the Supreme Lord. And that's the process of the Vaidhi Bhakti, means the practicing state of devotional service. If someone is on the state of Mishra Bhakti, mixed devotional service, and he or she practices devotional service, means Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, etc., then step by step can achieve this pure bhakti. So let me speak about a little bit about this process. So first of all, one has to get bhakti from someone who has bhakti. And this verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita explains this. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bija. It means that a fortunate person, a Bhagyavan Jiva, who is wandering around in this Brahmanda, in this material universe, here and there, life after life, one can get, by the mercy of Guru, means a pure devotee of the Lord, and by the mercy of Lord Krishna, Prasade, mercy, one can get the Bhakti Lata Bija. So Bhakti Lata Bija means the seed of the creeper of devotional service. So what is this seed of devotion? Because it's of course, it's a metaphoric seed. This Bhakti Lata Bija means the knowledge about the process of devotional service. So it means that one have to get the bhakti by the knowledge of bhakti. And one can get that knowledge from scripture, from Krishna Prasade. So one can open the Bhagavad Gita and learn about devotional service in the Gita, or one can open the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then there is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. There is a very detailed scientific description how to render devotional service to the Lord. And also have to have a guru, a living person who teaches devotional service to someone. Therefore, Krishna says, Tadviti pranipatira pariprashnina sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. One have to turn to a bona fide spiritual master and learn the process of devotional service from him. So here there is a very nice picture. I would be happy to send this to you after the presentation, because you can't read these words because it's too small, but I will explain. This is the creeper, the metaphoric creeper of devotional service, explained by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So here is the seed of the devotional service, the Bhakti Lata Bij. Someone gets it. Someone gets the knowledge, just hears about the Lord, hears about the service of the Lord, and then one can start to practice devotional service. After getting this this knowledge of bhakti, one can have shraddha. Shraddha means faith in devotional service. It means that I have faith that if I serve the Supreme Lord, I can attain perfection. I have faith that the Supreme Lord will protect me, and so on. The next stage of devotional service is sadhu sangha, when someone regularly associates with the devotees of the Lord, like what you do regularly, coming to Professor Madhusudan's classes and hearing about the knowledge of the devotional service, and then in that way, and also associating with each other. You share experiences, you share your thoughts. So sadhu sangha, also studying devotional service from the devotees of the Lord. The next stage is bhajana kriya. It means the regular practice of devotional service. So someone learned how to do bhakti from the devotees, and then he goes home or she goes home and chants the holy name of the Lord regularly and reads the scriptures and do some worship, and he always tries to remember the Lord. So this practice of devotional service, devotional practices in day-to-day life, that means bhajana kriya. And by doing these regular practices, one can attain, or one can do, the anartha nivritti. It means the getting rid of unwanted tendencies or unwanted bad habits that one has. There are 6 main anarthas, like lust, greed, anger, illusion, and 2 more that I forgot. Lobha, krodha, mada, matsarya. Yeah, envy. Envy is also one of them, and I don't remember now the 6th. So these are the bad habits. These are the dusts on the mirror of the heart. And by doing devotional service, practicing devotional service, one can get rid of these bad habits, and one can attain the stage of nishta, which is the steady practice of devotional service, when someone doesn't have any bondage, someone doesn't have any obstacles in bhakti. And after that, one can get ruchi, which means a great taste or a great feeling of happiness during practicing the devotional service. So if someone has ruchi, have this taste of devotion, one can't stop singing, one can't stop reading. I know that Professor Madhusudan reads, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours a day. He has such a ruchi, such a taste for reading about the Lord and getting more and more knowledge about the Supreme, that he just can't stop it, just reading more and more and more. If someone is very greedy, someone is a very very greedy person for food, how to say that, if someone wants to overeat, so wants to eat more and more, how you say it in English?
Gluttony.
Yeah, someone is gluttony, wants to have more pizza, more ice cream, more sabji, more sweet rice, just eating more and more. The same tendency one can see in a personality of a devotee in the level of ruchi. So if someone has ruchi, taste for devotional service, just want to have more and more bhakti, want chant more, read more, serve more, and just can't stop it. It's a kind of spiritual greed, which is very good, of course. And above ruchi, there is asakti, which is attachment, not just to devotional service itself, but to Krishna himself, to the Supreme Lord himself. This is the attachment of the Lord, or to the devotional service. If someone is in ecstasy, cries and shivering the body and choking the voice, when someone is just how to say, merged completely into devotional ecstasy. And the highest perfection is prema, which is pure love of Godhead. Let me read just a few verses from the Chaitanya Charitamrita about this process. Lord Chaitanya says, when a person receives the seed of devotional service, he should take care of it by becoming a gardener and showing the seed in his heart. Showing. If he waters the seed gradually by the process of Shravana and Kirtana, hearing and chanting, the seed will begin to sprout. As one waters the Bhaktilata Bij, the seed sprouts, and the creeper gradually grows to the point where it penetrates the walls of this universe and goes beyond the Viraja river lying between the spiritual world and the material world. It attains Brahmaloka, the Brahman effulgence, and penetrating through the stratum in the reaches, it reaches the spiritual sky and the spiritual planet Goloka Vrindavan. Being situated in one's heart and being watered by Shravana Kirtana, the Bhakti creeper grows more and more. In this way, it attains the shelter of the desired tree of the lotus feet of Krishna, who is eternally situated in the planet known as Goloka Vrindavan, in the topmost region of the spiritual sky. The creeper greatly expands in the Goloka Vrindavan planet, and there it produces the fruit of love for Krishna. Although remaining in the material world, the gardener regularly sprinkles the creeper with the water of hearing and chanting. So this is the process of pure devotional service, and this is the metaphoric bhakti lata or creeper of devotional service that someone has to nicely look after in his or her heart, and watering it with the 9 processes of devotional service, beginning with Shravanam and Kirtanam. And then that creeper takes the devotee out of this material world, and it was said it goes through the Brahmaloka, means the impersonal Brahman, and then attains Vaikuntha. And above all the Vaikuntha planets, the residence of Lord Vishnu, one attained the eternal planet of Goloka Vrindavan, which is the planet of Lord Krishna. Okay, so just briefly, there are some obstacles to in the way of the devotional process. So if someone does bhakti, there are 3 main obstacles. And these are as follows: Dushkritotta, Sukritotta, and Aparadotta. I don't have time, sadly, to explain all of these in details, but if someone is more interested, please ask me in the Q&A session. But just briefly, Dushkritotta means the past sinful activities that someone has committed previously, before the beginning of devotional service. So someone, maybe personally myself, I committed so many sins before I have started devotional service. I ate meat, I drank alcohol, I did all nasty things. But so that's Dushkritotta, and this is a weight in my backpack when I try to go up. When I try to go up on the mountain of devotional service and try to achieve the success, which is love of God. So there are these crocodiles and there are these different dangers on the way to Krishna Loka, to Krishna's eternal abode. And one of them is this Dushkritotta, these past sinful activities. Someone still have the tendency maybe to commit some sinful activities, has the sinful desires. These are all reactions of this Dushkritotta, of these past sinful activities. And a very important thing to notice is that from this Dushkritotta, from this past sinful activity, one cannot get rid of by any other processes of spiritual practices. So one cannot get rid of past sinful activities by karma, by doing something good, or by jnana, by some material knowledge or speculation. only by bhakti and even not by yoga. So maybe you can do Ashtanga yoga for 10 million lifetimes. You can do all the breathings and meditation and everything, but you cannot get rid of past karma. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayashyami Mashucha. Krishna says that I am the only one who can free you from past karma. Aham Tam Sarva Papebhyo Moksha. So all the past karma, all the papa, the dushkritota, can be get rid of. So one can get rid of those only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord and only by the process of devotional service. Sukritota, very briefly, is the pious acts that someone has committed before. So the good karma, it also could be an obstacle because good karma gives good result. Bad karma gives bad result. Good karma gives good one. But it's also a bondage to this world. If someone wants to goes back to the spiritual world and get out of this material universe, then someone have to get rid of this good karma as well, because maybe I gave thousands of, I don't know, donations in my last life. So it means that I will get back a lots of money, and that money also binds me here into this material world. Or maybe I did so much good activities that I can go to the heavenly planets of this Svargaloka, of this material world, but Svargaloka is still a material place to go to. So if someone wants to go back to Godhead, to the Supreme Lord's abode, then Supreme Lord's kingdom, then one have to get rid of the Sukritota. That can be attained also by devotional service. And the most dangerous obstacle on the path of bhakti is aparadota, is the offenses that one commits through or meanwhile bhakti or during practicing of bhakti. There are 10 main offenses. I can list them if someone is interested. You can ask me in the questions and answers part. But aparad means offense. So one maybe offend or commit offense against a saint. Maybe you say you do something bad against a holy person, or maybe you can commit offense against the deity of the Lord, or against the holy name of the Lord, or against the Shastra. Maybe someone says something bad about some scripture, it's also an offense. So one who, if someone wants to develop in spiritual life nicely, has to be avoid all these aparads, all these offenses. I can speak them about that if you are interested later. And just the last thing that I want to express is that devotional service has different kinds of. As we mentioned, there is the Vaidhi Bhakti, which is the practitioner state, and there is the Raga Bhakti, which is the purified and natural state of Bhakti. But even in pure devotional service, there are different varieties. So for example, if someone has bhakti or attachment towards Lord Vishnu, then that devotee will go to Lord Vishnu's planet, one of the Vaikuntha planets. There are unlimited planets in the Vaikuntha world. There is a different planet of Lord Vishnu and Lord Varaha and Lord Nisimha and Lord Ramachandra and Aniruddha and Pradyumna. So all these Vishnu forms, all these different forms of the Supreme Lord has their own spiritual planets in the Vaikuntha world. And if someone has attachment to a particular form of the Lord, then he or she can go, that soul can go to that planet. Krishna speaks about that in the Gita. But there is a very unique kind of bhakti that was given, that was spread by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord. He's the Yuga avatar of the Kali Yuga. You can see a beautiful picture of him. And he offers this Vraja Bhakti, this devotional service offered to Lord Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this two-armed form of the Supreme Lord, as the same Krishna who, of course, who told the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and Krishna says that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna says that Matta Paratara Nanyat Kinchidasi Dhananjaya, that I, Krishna, am the supreme form of the Lord. Actually, Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. It's explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam that Ete Cham Shakalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the supreme form of the Absolute Truth, and his eternal home is Goloka Vrindavan. And I brought lots of verses about that Goloka Vrindavan from the different Shastras. I have a verse from Vayu Purana, and I have verses from Gopatapani Upanishad, and I have references from Brahma Samhita written by Lord Brahma himself. If you are interested in these verses, because I'm running out of time, you can ask all of these in the questions and answers part. I can read it, and I also can send it to the group and to Madhusudan Prabhu, and you can have all of these shastric references. Maybe I just read the Brahma Samhita, which is very wonderful. It was written by Lord Brahma himself, and Lord Brahma says, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita Bistabirya Eva Nicha Rupataya Kalabi Goloka Eva Nivasat Akilatma Bhuto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities, in the company of her confidence Sakis, embodiments of the expansions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. And one more verse. Golokanamni nijadamni tale chatasya devi mahesha haridama suteshu teshu tete pravaha nichaya vihitaschayena govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Lowest of all, it's all is located Devidam, mundane world. Next abode, it is Maheshadam, abode of Mahesh or Lord Shiva. Above Maheshadam is placed Haridam, abode of Hari or the Vaikuntha planets, and above them all is located Krishna's all realm named Goloka. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rules of those greeded realms. So according to the Shastra, according to the scriptures, this Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, he resides eternally in this Goloka Dham, and there are 5 mellows of bhakti, of devotional service, that are experienced there by the eternal associates of the Lord. And these 5 mellows of bhakti are Shantarasa, neutrality, Dasyarasa, servitorship, Sakyarasa, friendship, Vatsalyarasa, parental affection, and Madhuryarasa, which is conjugal love. So these are the 5 mellows, 5 primal mellows of devotional service. And in the Vaikuntha planets, these 2 kinds of bhaktis are available, Shantarasa and Dasyarasa. So if someone goes to the abode of Lord Vishnu, can be a neutral devotee, it means can appreciate Lord Vishnu and just love Lord Vishnu without any service, that's Shantarasa, and can offer Dasyarasa to Lord Vishnu, which is servitorship, so someone can serve the Supreme Lord Vishnu. But Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya rasas are not available in relation with Lord Vishnu. So one can't be a parent of Lord Vishnu or can't be a lover of Lord Vishnu. But these highest three kinds of devotional services are only available or attainable in Goloka Vrindavan. So if someone wants to be a friend of the Supreme Lord or a parent of the Supreme Lord, like Yashodamaya or Nanda Maharaj, looking after Krishna, breastfeeding Krishna, and protecting Krishna, or if someone wants to have a conjugal relationship, a loving relationship, like the gopis of Vrindavan had, this loving attachment or attraction to Krishna, one have to go to Goloka Vrindavan, and one have to develop this Vraja Bhakti, this Vrindavan Bhakti. And this kind of Bhakti was offered only by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So actually, Sri Chaitanya came to this material world, descended to this material world to give that kind of devotional service, or teach that kind of devotional service that is offered or that is practiced by Krishna's eternal associates in Goloka Vrindavan. And just a few words about that eternal place, Goloka Vrindavan. Krishna has, so this Goloka is like a lotus flower according the scriptures. So it looks like a transcendental unlimited lotus flower. And there are this Ashtakaliya Leela. Krishna has these 8 kinds of, how to say, daily routine, or Krishna's eternal time is divided into these 8 different pastimes. So although this Goloka Vrindavan is completely transcendental and it's eternal, Satchit Ananda, eternal, blissful and full of knowledge, but this is kind of similar to this material world. You mustn't misunderstand this statement, but when Krishna came to this material world 5,000 years ago, he did this Nara Leela. He acted like a human being. He had only 2 hands, 2 arms, and he acted like a cowherd boy. And he did very similar activities as human beings do. This is not a Leela, like human-like pastimes. Krishna, he takes, every morning he wakes up. So when I just speak about when Krishna came 5,000 years ago to this world, then he woke up in the morning and he took breakfast with his friends that were made by his gopi friends. And then Krishna went to the pasturing grounds with his friends, the cowherd boys, and he looked after the cows. And then he played, for example, Holi and different other pastimes during the day. And he also went to the Govardhan hill to grazing the cows. And then he went home and had dinner and had some, he was watching some theatric dramas and some show in the evening before go to sleep. And after that, he went to sleep, but he actually escaped from his bedroom and he went to play and dance with the gopis during whole night. And then these pastimes are happened again and again. So this was Krishna's pastimes in this world. And according to the scriptures, actually these pastimes that Krishna showed in this material world, these are the pastimes that he eternally plays in his eternal kingdom of Goloka Vrindavan. So actually this material world is nothing else but a reflection of this Goloka Dham and all that relationships that one experiences in this world, to have, to serve someone. Everyone has friends, everyone, has family, children, and everyone has some beloved, wife or husband. So all these relationships originally emanating from Goloka Vrindavan, and originally these relationships are experienced with Krishna. So one can attain the state of be a lover of Krishna, a friend of Krishna, a parent of Krishna, or a servant of Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, and one can take part in Krishna's eternal pastimes in that eternal spiritual world. And this practice of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, etc., is the key to attain this perfect state of devotional service that is offered, that is available in the spiritual world. And here, this is the last verse that I want to read to you. It was written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is a very important acharya of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. He lived in the 18th century, and he was a family man. He had wife, he had 14 children, and he was actually a politician. He was a judge under the British rule of India. So he was doing service of the British government, but in the other hand, he was eternally liberated soul and a pure devotee of Krishna. And he says this: one day, while performing devotional practices, I saw my house transformed into Goloka Vrindavan. When I take the Charanamrita of the deity, I see the holy Ganges waters that come from the feet of the Lord Vishnu, and my bliss knows no bounds. So basically, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I'm practicing devotional service in my daily life, and I saw my house transformed into Goloka Vrindavan. So one can attain this experience of the eternal service of the Supreme Lord in Goloka Vrindavan, even in this world, by practicing devotional service. And if someone practices devotional service, end of his or her life can go back to home, back to Godhead, to Goloka Vrindavan, and can be an eternal servant of Lord Krishna. Sorry for taking so much time. I wanted to say this much. I hope that I was able to express myself in an understandable way, and I stop the screen sharing. I want to see all of your faces. And thank you very much for your patience and attention. So how to get out? Stop sharing. So Hare Krishna.
So yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Mohana Das Prabhuji. I hope you can hear me now.
I hear you completely, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I have to admit that was a very beautiful lecture. Your slides were so beautiful. I actually want to steal your slides. They're so beautiful. Your pictures and the slides were very beautiful.
Are yours.
And
These are yours.
thank you very much for taking us through this very, very interesting journey. And after listening to your 1.5 hours of lecture, I am all the more convinced that our destination there is not a contentless consciousness of nothingness. It is a dynamic state where we are in eternal association of the Supreme, that you so very nicely elaborated with those beautiful slides. So again, I wanted to thank you so much for spending time to share your knowledge with us. So we're going to start the Q&A. So there are two ways of doing this Q&A. Number one, I've jotted down a few questions from folks who have put in their thoughts in the chat room. And I also would welcome those of you who want to raise your hands and ask the question, please do so. This is your opportunity to ask Mohana Das Prabhu your questions, your pressing questions. So yeah, two ways of doing this Q&A. So Prabhu, I probably would want to get started and get the discussion going. I really liked your very first slide about the Dharma and Jiva's Dharma. That the Jiva's Dharma is that they are eternally dependent on the Supreme. The question that I have there is, why is it then not all Jivas are actually doing that? If that is our inherent Dharma, why are we not doing that? So I just wanted to open up the discussion. I really welcome others to contribute, please. So Prabhu, thank you very much, and look forward to your explanation of that. Why not all jivas are doing it? Why are they not expressing their dharma?
Thank you very much for your question, and I offer my respectful obeisances to my spiritual master, and I ask for his empowerment to be able to give a proper answer to this question. So yes, according to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhyaka Bunoy Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karai Udoy, that this love of Krishna, Krishna Prema, is eternally residing in everyone's heart. This is our constitutional position. This is our eternal nature. And it can be awakened by Shravanam Kirtana, by the process of devotional service. So why are we in the situation, we found ourselves in a situation that we are not in the position of our constitutional one. So we are not in the platform of Krishna Prema. We are not doing our Sanatana Dharma, means serving the Supreme Lord. And according to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching, he says this verse, Krishna Bahir Mukha Kona Bhogya Vanchakare. It means that the living entity turned its face, or his face, or her face, away from the Supreme Lord, Bhogya Vancha. So this selfish desire for enjoyment, sense enjoyment. So actually the dynamic or the nature of Krishna's kingdom is that Krishna is in the center and everyone is his servant. And if a living entity somehow or other develops this selfish desire to be the center, to be the enjoyer, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that Ishvaroham aham bhogi. The materialist says, I am the controller and I am the enjoyer. So if someone falls into this illusion or this selfish situation that wants to control and wants to enjoy instead of being enjoyed and being controlled by the Supreme Lord, then Krishna creates this material universe, this material world, Devidam, for those living entities who have these selfish desires. So Krishna is very liberal in a way. If someone doesn't want to serve him, he allows to that person to turn away. And according the Gaudiya Vaishnava theology, the living entity is this Tatashta Shakti. So Krishna had three main Shaktis, as I mentioned in the previous seminar. There is the Chit Shakti, the eternal spiritual potency of the Lord, and there is the Achit Shakti, or there is the Antaranga and Bahiranga. So Antaranga is the internal potency of the Lord, and Bahiranga is the external or material energy of the Lord. And between the two, between the spiritual energy and the material energy, there is the marginal energy. There is the Tatashta Shakti, the living entity, the tiny part and partial of the Lord, and the jiva. So this part and partial of the Lord, this Tatashta Shakti, is Tatashta, marginal, because can go to the spiritual, can live in the spiritual potency, spiritual kingdom, or can choose to live in the material kingdom. This is the free will of the living entity. So, and we see sometimes even in the material, someone is in a very good position and chooses to leave that very good position. In the Bible, we can see the story of the son who leaves the father and turns away from the father and live independently, and finally goes back to the father. I don't know the title of the story in English. In Hungarian, it goes like the Tékozló fiú, the son who goes away from the home of the father. So according the Gaudiya Vaishnava theology, we are all like that. We turned our faces away from the Lord. We came to this material world to be bhogis and ishvaras. But if we get the bhakti, get the devotional creeper or the seed of devotional service, we can turn our faces back to the Lord. We can practice devotional service, get rid of these selfish tendencies, and go back to our eternal spiritual position, or attain that eternal spiritual position to be the servant of the Lord.
Thank you, Prabhu. So I have a very nice contribution from Paresh Patel in Leicester, and who has passed a statement which is quite pertinent to what you have just described. Even atheists and non-believers of the Lord at times of difficulty in their lives turn to faith to remove the obstacles for relief. And we have all seen that over the last 14 months. So Paresh, thank you very much for that contribution. I'm going to call upon Harish from New Jersey in the US, who has a question for you, Prabhu. Harish, do you want to come online and ask Mohan Das Prabhu, please?
Sure. Thanks, Madhusudhanji. And thank you so much, Mohan Das Prabhu. It was a very nice talk. Really enjoyed it. I think we've heard you once before. So I think you addressed this towards the end, but the question was more related to the experience that we enjoy in this world, related to, I think you referred to motherly love, or other forms of love experiences or bhakti experiences. Does that translate in the other worlds? I mean, I wasn't as sure if it did one for one, but I think you alluded to the fact that it might have even originated from the from Vaikuntha and other areas to the world here. If you can elaborate on that, that'll be very helpful. Thank you.
So I'm sorry if I just recite your question to make sure that I understood it well. So your question was that, are these relationships, loving relationships that we can experience in this world, are these originating from the Supreme Lord's kingdom? Was that the question?
Yeah, that's the way I understood what you said. And if you can correct me or explain that'll be helpful.
Yes. So yeah, according Gaudiya Vaishnava understanding, yes. So all these relationships that we have in this world originating from there, it means that so the original lover is Krishna. But if we turn our face away from Krishna, we still desire to have a lover. So therefore we choose one from this material world. And Krishna is the original master in the spiritual world of all living entities. He's the original master of everyone. But we turn our faces away from him, but still we have to serve someone. So we choose another master. We choose our bosses. We choose our, I don't know, sometimes wives are the masters of the husbands. Sometimes the husbands are the masters of the wives, and vice versa. So Krishna is the original, but if we don't have Krishna, we choose someone else. But still we have to serve someone, we have to love someone, we have to look after someone. So like that, yeah. The original relationships are from that. It's a little bit if someone is more aware about Western philosophy, one can think of the Plato's cave analogy. Do you know that? So Plato says, okay, I don't go into that, but the idea is that there is an original reality, and this reality that we are in is also reality, but this is just a reflection of the original one. And Plato gave this example in this cave analogy that there are these shadows of the different objects seen in the wall of the cave. And this word, so these relationships that we have in this world are just shadows of the original relationship with Krishna.
Got it. And an extreme example of that is the dog example that you humorously pointed out. So I get it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harish. Prabhu, on that related question, I just wanted your opinion and take on. So, the view on in moksha, salokya, samipya, sarupya, and sayujya relationships in moksha. So, what is the Gaudiya Vaishnava theology on that aspects? Are these four levels that is described in the scriptures are only in other trans-empirical worlds below Goloka, or they are also in Goloka of Salokya, Samipya, Sarupya, and Sayujya relationship between the soul and the super soul?
Yes, thank you very much. I also remember that there is the sarshti, right? This is the fifth kind of moksha. So these liberations are attaining the same planet or same location as the Lord, attaining the same form of the Lord, sarupya, and attaining same wealth as the Lord has, and attaining the personal association of the Lord, and also merging into the Lord. So according Chaitanya Vaishnavism, the first four is sometimes acceptable by a devotee. So a devotee is happy to live in the same planet with the Lord, and also happy to have spiritual body, and Krishna shares his wealth with the devotees, and so on. But the thing is that the devotee doesn't renders devotional service with the desire to attain these muktis. So I don't do bhakti because I want to live with the Lord. This world is very uncomfortable, so I want to go there. I heard the climate is much better there. Fruit is for free. There is no coronavirus. So therefore, I do Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, and then I will attain that, and I will get rid of this bad place. So I will be happy there. This is also selfish desire. So to do devotional service with that desire is a kind of Jnana Mishra Bhakti, because it's Jnana Mishra Bhakti. It means that I do devotional service to attain mukti. So I develop knowledge and I speculate, and at the end of the day, I want to get mukti. I just want to get rid of this material world. And this is not pure devotional service. This is not ahoy tuki. This is not selfless. And this is also not anya abilasi tashunyam. So there is no, that it's not completely free from selfish desire. But if someone has pure desire just to serve the Lord, and Krishna offers, oh my dear devotee, you offered so much pure devotion to me, so please come back to my spiritual kingdom, then the devotee is very happy to do so, because there he or she can do more service. But not because the climate is there, or it's more comfortable, but because actually the spiritual place, the spiritual kingdom of God is the best place to do bhakti. So therefore I want to go there and do bhakti, but not because I want to enjoy that. But this merging into the Lord, this is the sayujya, right? The sayujya is the merging. So this is completely unacceptable for a devotee. It is says by Prabodhananda Saraswati that Kaivalya Narakayate. He says this Kaivalya Mukti, merging into the existence of the Lord, merging into the body of the Lord, becoming one with the Lord, is more hellish than go to hell. So a devotee is even more happy to go to hell than to merge into the Lord. Why? Because if I merge into the Lord, I won't be able to serve him anymore. I lose my identity. I lose my opportunity to serve him. So if I become one with the ice cream, I can't taste the ice cream. So if I become one with the Lord, I can't serve the Lord. I can't taste his supreme sweetness and beauty and kindness, and I can't serve him. So it's more bad than hell for a devotee.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. So I'm going to open up for others to ask questions. Anybody has questions, please come online, show yourself, and get blessings from Mohana Dasa and ask a question, please. Pragnesh, do you want to go ask a question? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Hari Krishna, Mohan Dasa Prabhuji. This was a very enlightening. I don't have a question, but if I may make a small comment regarding the last point we were discussing about the devotional service and the liberation, quoting Narsi Mehta. Narsi Mehta was a very celebratory Gujarati poet from where I come from. He has quoted in one of his poems saying, I have to recite in Gujarati and then translate in English. Harino janto mukti na mage, mage janmo janam avtare. What he was quoting was that the real devotee is not desirous of liberation, because by taking human birth again and again, he will have a chance to serve the Lord in the devotional form again and again. So one of the colloquials is that rather than liberation, he wants to be born again as a human being so that he can engage again and again in the devotional service that we all are trying to achieve. Thank you. Narsi Mehta, that was Narsi Mehta.
Yes, just thank you very much for that comment. Yes, so we also see examples in the Srimad Bhagavatam for that. For example, Rantideva Maharaj in the 9th canto. It's wonderful. That's one of the most wonderful part of the Bhagavatam. He says, I don't want to go back to Godhead. I want to take birth again and again, just to help the suffering living entities to go back to your kingdom. And Prahlad Maharaj says the same. I don't want to liberate myself. I just want to help the others to be liberated. So there are some living entities who take this role in the Lord's creation.
We seem to have lost Mohan Das Prabhu. Oh yeah, he's back.
Around is this.
Sorry, Prabhu, go on. We lost you briefly in the link, but please go on. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So Narada is like that. He's wandering around this material world and he does service here to the Lord. Thank you for this comment. It's very nice.
So Pragnesh, thank you very much. So that was Pragnesh from Aberdeen in Scotland who had the question. Anybody else who has a question, please? Otherwise, I was going to ask those verses in Goloka Vrindavana that Prabhu said that he had a list of beautiful verses from Brahma Samhita and other scriptures. And I was going to humbly request him to share those verses with us today. That was one of my requests. I had a list in my questions to ask for today.
So shall I read some of them or just send them?
If you could read, and then whilst you're reading those verses, I'm hoping that one of our other folks in the audience may want to ask a question after that. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, I can read a few verses. Here is a verse from Vayu Purana. This is 104, 52 to 55. So this Vayu Purana also describes the supreme abode of Goloka, wherein Lord Krishna and Devi Radha resides eternally. It is stated as follows. Rasikam Krishna Akyam Purusham Param Shrutvan Asti Vedebhyo Yatas Tat Gocharo Abhavat Evam Brahmani Chin Matre Nirgune Bedavarjite Goloka Sangyake Krishno Divyati Shrutam Maya Golokavasi Bhagavan Aksharat Para Uchyate. Lord Krishna, who is the lover of Srimati Radha, is the supreme Purusha described in the Vedas. By him, all this world is manifested. He indeed is non-dual Nirguna Brahman. And here is a verse from Gopaltapani Upanishad. I just read the English. this Gopalapuri bestows both sense enjoyment and liberation on all the gods and the inhabitants of this world. Just as a lotus flower sits in a pool of water, so Mathura is situated on this earth, even protected Vishnu Sudarshan discuss. Therefore, Mathura is very like Gopal city. So Gopal Tapani Upanishad calls Goloka as Gopalapuri, as the Lord. And here also in Gopal Tapani Upanishad, we can hear the list of the forests in Goloka Vrindavan, and it's an Upanishad, so it's Shruti. That abode of Gopala is surrounded by 12 forests. The first is the largest and therefore known as Bandiravana, as Badavana, great forest. The second is named Madhuvana after the demon known as Madhu. The third is known as Talavana for the Tala palm trees that fill the fourth, that fill it. The fourth is known as Kamyavana because it fulfills desires. The fifth is Bahulavana, the forest of Bahula. The sixth is Kumudavana, the forest filled with Kumuda flowers. The seventh is Kadiravana, the forest of Kadira trees. The eighth is Badravana, the forest of Badra trees. The ninth is Bandiravana, the forest of Bandira trees. And the 10th is Shrivana, the forest of Lakshmi. The 11th is Lokavana, and the 12th is Vrindavana, the forest of Vrinda. And these forests are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam that as the pastime places of Lord Krishna. For example, Talavana was the forest where Krishna killed this ass demon and dropped him on these palm trees. Or Vrindavana is famous, is where Krishna danced with the gopis and like that. So all these forests are mentioned in the Gopala Tapani Upanishad. I read the Brahma Samhita. I have other words.
Yeah, that's great, Prabhu. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so maybe if you have other verses, please do send it to me and for my reference.
Yeah, I will do
anyway,
so.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions from others, please? I'm very conscious of time. Any other questions? Okay, if you don't have any questions, could I request everybody to unmute their video, please, and audio, and we will give a big round of applause to Mohan Das Prabhu for engaging us for the last 2 hours. And Mohan Das Prabhu, if you could recite the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for us today, please, that will be wonderful.
We can, if someone can, then please chant it with me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Wonderful. So on that note, shall we all give a big round of applause to Mohan Das Prabhu, please, for a wonderful session.
ISKCON founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. And my beloved Guru Maharaj, Srila Shivaran Swami Maharaj ki jai. His Grace Madhusudan Prabhu ki jai. And all glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Sudarshan. And thank you, Mohan.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. We'll end the meeting now. Yeah.